Captain Mike Fiola from the Shelton Police
Mike.
Department.
Good morning,
sir.
Hey, good morning, guys.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Get this note in here. There is ongoing recruitment for a law enforcement officer, and then it says the word lateral here. So putting the call out to folks who already have spent time in police departments around the area. Tell me a little bit about this.
Exactly. So what we're looking to do is just establish a list that if there were to be any openings coming up in the near future, we could pull off of and get an officer on the street as soon as possible. So it's always nice to get a lateral at times because they've already been to the police academy.
Right.
And what that usually is maybe they might be at a different agency.
Sure.
And, we recruit and say, hey, this is what we offer here at the city. And we try to get them to come to our agency and work. It's pretty common. So I was a lateral to Shelton. I came from over a small town in Thurston County.
Oh,
so that's an
okay.
example of a lateral swap. So I was at a very small agency. There was an opening here in Shelton, so I made the lateral application. But I'd already been to the police academy, so they didn't have to send me to 6 months of training. So it's kind of a win for the employer, and then it's also a win for the applicant because they usually come in at a higher step. They won't come in at that rookie base salary. They'll come in at a higher step. So there's an incentive for both parties to have a better situation there.
And all agencies are applicable from tribal law enforcement all the way up to the feds?
That's correct. So the last couple of our laterals were from Squaxin Tribal Police Department, the Skokomish Public Safety, and then Norfolk, Virginia. We actually had an officer come up from over there. So anywhere that our state recognizes that their training is in accordance with the basic law enforcement academy up in Burien. Mm-hmm. They have to go to like a 2-week equivalency academy if they're from a different state, and then they're good to go, and they get a peace officer cert for Washington, and they're able to work for you.
What are some of the draws that you tell the folks about coming here, or what were some of the things that you were told with benefits, positives about coming to Shelton?
For us, for me to come to Shelton, it was better benefits for myself and my family, better pay, and a stronger union. So that was one of the reasons I came over to Shelton. Those are things that everybody's got to look at individually, based on where they're working at. Are they happy? Do their values align with the department they're at, with their mission and their vision and their core values? And sometimes it's just you're better fit at a different agency. Some people really like working in cities because you have near backup. Then you have some officers that can never imagine working in a city. They want to work in a county because they can't imagine being confined to a town. So everybody's got their own, their own niche and their own things that they like. I've only worked for cities, so it's all I really know. But to get somebody from a sheriff's office to come to a city sometimes is a little more different because they're like, well, I'm so used to broad open roads.
Right.
Exactly. So the sell to that would be like, hey, well, you'll have instant backup. You don't have to wait 10 minutes for your nearest backup to show up. So it's really just an individual decision on what do they value and things that, they think that make them happier.
The city covers 6.1 square miles and about 10,000 residents or so, and so that is, I'm sure, a draw to some folks when they see those numbers too.
Absolutely, and we're a busy agency for the size we are. They're paid well, and the benefits are good. There's other incentives for working with the city, so it's a good place to work. I've worked here since 2003, and I've been happy. I've been able to get all the training I've wanted. All the type of management schools I've wanted to go to, and it's been good for me.
Oh, that's great.
So that's something when I talk to applicants that want to be lateral over, they'll say, "Well, why'd you come over?" And this is why, and this is why I've stayed here for so long. I like it here.
So there are the opportunities for you to better yourself and better your own situation by learning some of these skills too available. Use of management stuff too.
Exactly. And so let's say for instance you have let's use a big agency like a Seattle Police Department or Tacoma Police Department. It might take you 5 years to get to like a specialty field or to get even to go to specialty training where new officers here are lateral. You'll go to field train officer school. You'll go to taser instructor school, defensive tactics instructor school, anything you want. We can usually, as long as you are qualified, we can make it happen much faster than if you were in some large agency. So you're going to get a lot more experience when it comes to those specialty areas where
And you would probably want to be, I would think, so any opportunity to be able to take those classes.
Absolutely. So, a thing that we do at the Shelton Police Department is we look at every individual officer and we try to plan succession planning with professional and personal growth. We look at their training jacket. We make sure that, we find out areas that interest him or her, and we try to build their training around that. Some officers are, public speaking is just not their thing. It's not what they want to do.
Right.
But they're extremely interested in teaching officers how to drive or go into emergency vehicle courses or investigating accidents. So, okay, all right, well, let's model his training for that. And then we have some officers who are like, I really would like to promote. I'd like to supervise people. Okay, so we'll get you into pre-supervisor class, first level supervisor class.
Oh, that's great.
Leadership courses. So with our size agency, we're able to really individualize our training program.
Wow.
So it's just like, for lack of better words, like if you go to a big school, right, and you're in a class of 200 kids, you might get some attention from the teacher, but when you go to that private school and there's only like 20 of you, you're getting that one-on-one contact with the teacher.
Yeah.
It's a lot like that, and those are selling points for people that want to move to different agencies because they're like, hey, I'd like to be able to do more professional growth, and that's something we can offer here.
That is pretty cool.
Great. Now, where can they apply?
So the city of Shelton has a website online, obviously, and I think it's sheltonwa.gov.
Yes.
You go onto that, they go to Human Resources, download the application, and you put on top Lateral applicant.
Very
Very
cool.
nice.
Huh, that is really
Very
neat.
cool.
Now let's talk about some of the other things that happened. Wrapped up most recent Reserve Academy. Is that right?
Yep. So I'd say we've hit the 50% mark. The class is doing well. The Shelton recruits are doing really well. They just practice high-risk stops. They're getting a lot of their classroom stuff done. They've finished their criminal law, criminal procedures, use of force, ethics, cultural diversity. So now they're going to start getting into like the patrol procedures where they learn how to do building searches, and so they're excited to get out of the classroom.
I bet.
They're extremely done sitting at the desk. So now we'll
Field
start
trip time.
Field trip. So no, we're starting to get them to start doing practical exercises. We're taking what we've taught them in the book, and now we're making it applied to real life scenarios and making sure that they're doing it safely, and it's going well.
Now, do you guys still have like those virtual things that you do, like the videos? Like I've seen shooting.
Yeah, those are like force encounters where you have to shoot, don't shoot situations.
Yeah.
We don't have that for our Reserve Academy, but at the full-time academy, officers do get that. It's something if we had, we definitely would use. Now that being said, we use simunition or basically they shoot like a paintball round. It models the same size as your pistol. We actually received those through a grant through SPI here in town, so we're very appreciative of that.
How fun.
Give a little plug there.
Yeah.
So we'll use those type of pistols to practice, force on force, so that obviously they're not getting hit with a real round, but it stings, and you definitely know, okay, well, maybe that wasn't a good tactic because I got lit up, or so that to that effect. And we'll use those for training for like those force on force shoot no shoot decisions.
When the reserve officers are out walking around or they're out driving around, is there anything that distinguishes them as not a full-fledged officer yet? I'm thinking of a student driver card that has a sign on it.
Right. No, there's not. In our agency, once they've graduated the police academy, the Reserve Police Academy, when they're on duty, they're considered the state would recognize them as a full-time officer for that. That they have the same peace officer commission and abilities as a full-time. So there's no armband or special thing on their badge. They're just a police officer.
Rookie? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
The back.
Other than maybe
That's good.
cleaning up stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Rook.
Yeah, exactly. If they're doing a lot of the
Go
work,
get our lunch.
Yeah, they're probably
The reserves. So
I love that.
Are there opportunities for these folks once graduated to potentially move into the Shelton Police Department, or is this a good jumping off point for other agencies?
Yeah, so that's a good point you bring up, Jeff. So the last Reserve Academy we held in 2015, I think we hired 6 out of our 7 reserves.
Wow.
Nice.
So basically it's kind of like a farm system, if you will. We send them to this academy, we kind of get to fill them out, they get to feel us out, they see it, and then when those openings become available, they get extra points on the civil service list. I think it's 5 or 10 points to their score, so they can apply to be a full-time officer. And it's been really successful for us, and we've got some amazing officers out of that program. And honestly, so right now we have 5 Shelton recruits, and we've already offered 1 a conditional offer of employment.
Nice.
So they're already showing their worth, and that's the reason why we do this academy. Is A, to give back, it's good for the community. We can get more officers on the street. B, it gives us a chance to kind of try them out and see if they'd be a good fit for us. So when those openings happening, hey, we already know this officer's work ethic, or we know what we think we know about him or her, and we go from there.
I see you around town. You always got a smile on your face. Chief Moody as well. What's the culture like in the police department? Is it I mean, you're law enforcement, so it's not like a comedy nightclub, jovial kind of thing, but you guys all get along, and do you find yourselves engaged with each other outside of work and things like that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the best way to put it is any police department's like a family. There's brothers, there's sisters. Sometimes brothers and sisters fight, so it's not always, singing Kumbaya and holding hands down the street. That being said, we all have a respect for each other. We understand the risk that we all put just coming to work every day. So there's this camaraderie that you kind of see that's in a military sense, because we all share this risk and these dangers that we deal with. So there's a camaraderie, and a lot of officers are friends with the officers outside of work. Now that being said, the thing we actually tell our officers is, have friends that are not just cops too.
Right.
Because, you're right, because you hit it on the head. Cops, we have dark senses of humor, just like emergency workers. It's just humor is how we get through stresses, and we deal with a lot of trauma. We see a lot of trauma that most people don't see on a daily basis. So that camaraderie, being able to joke around, relieves the stress.
And they can be mad at you, but they're still going to have your back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the thing is, the old saying, I could pick on my brother.
Right. But you can't. Right.
So,
exactly.
And that's kind of the relationship. Yeah. The culture down there right now, like I said, I've been here since 2003, and it's been the best that I've seen it. Chief Moody's good to go. We have really good officers, a lot of young officers. Everybody's motivated. We're making positive strides. Officers understand the mission of our agency now, and we're pushing forward. So we're really excited about that, and things are good.
And then one last question then on community interaction and involvement. How does the citizenry of Shelton interact, work well with the police department? I know you guys, every time you put the badge on, there's a risk involved there.
Yeah, the good thing about Shelton and our community is I feel like we're, in years past maybe not so lockstep, but I really feel like we're lockstep with our community right now. We get a lot of support, a lot of compassion. We had our officer had that medical emergency. The outpouring was amazing. I really feel that everything that we do is now community-based. We're involving the community in our decisions, from our hiring process, like this lateral, for an example, this lateral application, all the way to promotions for sergeants. Like, part of their exams, we now involve the community in those oral boards. We involve the community in the testing process. Everything we do is with or about the community. We're much more involved in the nonprofit programs here in town. And, that's not a kudo to me. I'd say my weakest point is I'm doing a lot of stuff at the office, and I really get stuck in my work. Chief Moody's great at the PR stuff, and he's getting out there. And it's a good model for me to follow as well. He's done a great job of getting us involved in the community, and the officers like it. Like, we like going out to the community events, because guess what? For the most part, people don't call the cops for the birthday party, unless they're drunk and they're fighting, right?
Right.
So we're not really getting that call. So it's nice to go out and do these events where we're handing out stickers, taking pictures with kids, just walking around the carnival. It's great. It's good.
That's cool.
That is nice. That's
Captain
good.
Mike Fiola from the Shelton Police Department. Find
Thanks
out more
for having me.
online at sheltonwa.gov. We'll put the links into it. Good to see you.
Good seeing you too.
Thanks
Guys,
for
have a great
coming
day.
in.